Hi, Mike from the Rural Montana family. In this video, we are driving our 2013 Tesla Model S with over 192,000 miles on it from Portland to Montana. If you don't know the story about the Model S, go check out our last week's video. I'm going to post a link here at top of the screen. If the link doesn't pop up on your device, look down below in the description. But go see that one first and then come back to this video and see how we made it home with this high mileage Tesla Model S. Let's go! So as you can see, we are already out of Portland. We are at Multnomah Falls, and it's right off the interstate there, not far away from Portland. And we took a little hike up there. It was really beautiful. So that was pretty cool. And so yeah, we did go to a urban supercharger last night to make sure that this Model S does supercharge. Otherwise we would have had to rely on level 1 and level 2 charging, which would have extended our trip to several days. But luckily it did supercharge just fine, and so off we went. We left Portland around noonish, and the plan was to spend one night somewhere along the way, see how far we can get from Portland. We did this little hike at Multnomah Falls, which took a couple hours, so we assumed we wouldn't get very far, and sure enough, we only made it to the first supercharger, which was in Dalles, Oregon. And that's where we plugged in and charged, and we definitely knew we would not go any further from there, because we realized that the speeds were pretty slow. And that's when I recalled hearing about these charge curves being very limited and kept super low, especially the higher it gets. And sure enough, I mean, if we got over 100, then it was just for a really short time, and then it dropped down to the 80s and lower the higher it got. So it was not a super fast charger, this Tesla Model S. Still much better than compared to our Chevy Bolt, where we only get 50 kilowatts to begin with, and then it tapers off from there. At least this started over 100 usually, and then taper down to about 80 and lower from there, but not super fast. So definitely a little bit longer stops at all these superchargers are required with this Model S compared to our 2018 Model 3 that we have. So let's jump forward to the Dalles supercharger. I'm starting to get a little impatient. It's at 10 minutes remaining for, I don't know, 20 minutes probably. And finally it just dropped down to 5 minutes. And you can see all we're doing is 2 kilowatts right now. And at 98%, that seems like it could take forever to get to full. Also, it's been at 98% for quite some time. So I assume it is equalizing or calibrating battery cells at this point. That's why this takes so long. It's been showing 5 minutes remaining for about 10 minutes. We came up to 99%. We're only charging at 1 kilowatt now. But we gotta get going here. So we'll be going to the Kennewick, Washington Supercharger, and it says here we should arrive there with 27%, which that's perfect. And we can see real quick what that translates to in miles here, because a lot of people like to see the miles. Let's do distance. All right, so we got, let's go here. So the 99% equals 233 miles. So that's what it shows there. The battery is not perfectly equalized yet, but we're driving it pretty far down right now, getting it pretty high up, and we'll start equalizing the battery, and eventually we'll see the true capacity of it. But I'm pretty sure we're above 90%, even at over 192,000 miles. So let's go. We made it to Kennewick, to the Supercharger. We got over 70 miles left. I was thinking about possibly making it all the way to Ritzville, but it would have been way too close. So we've been cruising at 325 watt hours per mile. Used 43.4 kilowatts for the 133 mile trip to get here. And we can look at the energy rather than the miles. So the miles equal 31% of charge left. So we're going to charge here for about 20 minutes and then keep on going to the Ritzville Supercharger. So we made it to this Kennewick Supercharger here, and our 192,000 mile Model S is still doing great. It actually did better than expected. I think since we were able to charge a little longer and brought it up to at least 99%, that helped to equalize those battery cells, and we got more capacity out of it. We still got to do more equalizing. We're not down as low as it initially said we would be, so we're only gonna charge here about 20 minutes so that we can make it to Ritzville, and hopefully drop it even lower getting to Ritzville, and then maybe in Ritzville see how long or how far we can go up depending on how busy that Supercharger is. But it would be nice if we can drop it below 10% and then bring it above 90 again. That would really help. But overall this car is doing great. Drives perfect, no issues driving wise. There was an issue with the glove box. We found out the mechanism was broken, and somebody put magnets on, so you actually have to open up the passenger door in order to pull the glove box open, but it's only magnets that are holding it. And then I noticed this little cover here has gone missing. I'm not sure if it was there when we picked the car up or not, but that's okay. That's no big deal. It is working wonderful. Another thing we found is the rear speakers don't seem to work. We checked the balance and fader, but it seems like we only get sound coming from the front. But these are minor things. I mean, it is 9 years old and has almost 200,000 miles on it. but the tires look pretty new. So I think that was a pretty good score there too with the tires. And so far we're still really happy. And we'll get her charged up and then keep on going. Okay, we are at 72%. We actually left the supercharger and went over to a fast food place real quick to get a little bit of food. Gotta snack a little bit. So let's change that over to distance. That equals 169 miles according to this. And now let's see here. We should be in Ritzville with 24% according to this, so we got a little bit to spare. Maybe we can go a smidgen faster. We went exactly the speed limit so far, which is 70 miles an hour. Maybe we go 71 or 72 and use a little bit more energy and see if we can bring it down a little further. Eventually we're trying to definitely get home pretty low and probably fully charge at home again, just to equalize the battery even more. But so far so good. Made it to the Ritzville Supercharger. Got 62 miles left, and that would be, let's see how many percent here. Gotta switch. There we go. 26% left. So we did pretty darn good again. So the car is doing great. And let's go here to the trips. And since last charge we did 362 watt hours per mile, so we went up a little bit. We did 82 miles, so we're gonna charge up here for a few minutes. The planner here says 15-minute charge, and then we'll go on to the Spokane Supercharger, which probably we could skip the Spokane and go to Coeur, Alene, or even to Superior. But we'll see as we drive how we feel. We definitely had to stop here in Ritzville because we needed a bathroom break. So let's get plugged in and we'll go from there. So we are at 55%. We're still plugged in. Let's switch this to distance. That would equal about 129 miles. And currently the trip planner says we will get to Spokane with, it just switched to 25% here if we're leaving right now. So we're gonna go ahead. Spokane is not very far, only 51 miles. So we'll get going here rather than charging any higher. Ritzville has been kind of boring. I mean, it was 100 degrees out there. It seems to be like in the middle of a desert almost. There was a couple gas stations and restaurants there, a Starbucks and stuff. So we could have done something, I guess, but we were not hungry, nor did we want more Starbucks or something. We were just ready to go and get out of the heat. And so started driving towards Spokane, and sure enough got stuck in this construction area and had to go super slow. But eventually we made it to Spokane. at the Spokane Supercharger. We got 67 miles left. That is 29%. And as we can see above here, since last charge, we used 18.2 kilowatt hours, 350 watt hours per mile. It seems like we keep using more and more. And we only drove 52 miles. So now we're going to charge here. So let's see, just do Coeur d'Alene, maybe real quick, see what we... So to Coeur d'Alene it's only 39 miles, so we will get there with 10% right now. Come back here, there we go. So 39 miles, 47 minutes. So we could make it to Coeur d'Alene from right here, or Superior. Let's see. So we would a 40-minute charge here to make it to Superior. So we'll put a little bit in here, probably go to Coeur d'Alene, put a little bit in there, and then maybe from there make it home or so. We'll see. So let's get charging. We're here in Spokane at the Supercharger right now on our way home, and you probably can hear the fan of the Model S going. They're pretty noisy. That's how it's always been. I don't know if it's still that way, but every time I see a Model S in hot climate, I can hear the fan going. So must be the thing on a Model S. But while driving, it's not an issue at all. Most of the time it's actually off while driving, so not a big deal. So far the car's still doing good for us, no issues. What we noticed, I think this door handle here on the driver's door possibly has been replaced, as it works the smoothest of all. The one back here on the driver's side rear door seems a little jerky. You gotta pull a little hard. Then the other two are in between of that. So I'm not sure, but I would assume maybe multiple of those door handles have been replaced or repaired, and it feels definitely like the driver's door handle has been repaired. Also, another thing is, as you see, the windows are tinted. The rear and the side windows are definitely tinted. There actually may be a slight tint on the front window. I'm not 100% positive. It's not really visible to the clear eye, and I haven't looked any closer yet. So, but so far, still doing good. We've done about 400 out of the 600 miles to get home. We'll get charged up and keep going. We are at 60% now. This is actually a version 3 Supercharger, but that doesn't really help us. We're down to about 41 kilowatts right now. We're charging super slow. These old Model S's don't go very fast and cannot benefit from a version 3 Supercharger. Let's look what 60% is as in distance. That's 142 miles. And if we look at the map, going home, it's close to 200 miles all the way. It would tell us to charge in Coeur d'Alene for about 40 minutes, but there's also a Supercharger in Superior, so we could just stop for about 15 or 20 minutes in Coeur d'Alene and another 15 minutes in Superior, and make it home that way, and possibly even less charging time, because we keep the battery a little bit lower. The higher up we go, the slower it will be charging, especially with the temperatures we're having. It is 99 degrees right here, so I think we'll get going. We stop in Coeur d'Alene for about 15 minutes and then stop another 15 minutes in Superior, and then make it home. After leaving the Spokane Supercharger, we went back onto I-90, and following this black car in front of us. Didn't have a license plate on it yet and looked somewhat familiar. And so eventually I could catch up a little and see this was actually an electric car. It was a brand new Audi e-tron. And we've been following it a little bit and then eventually passed it. And it's a nice looking car, no doubt about it. But I think we got the better deal on our Tesla Model S here. Trip would be complete without stopping at the Cabelas store. That's right at the state line between Washington and Idaho. Since where we live, we only have a little Cabelas called an outpost. We always like to stop here and go look at all these exhibits and have some fun shooting their toy guns in the shooting gallery. We made it to the Coeur Alene Supercharger. Got 97 miles left on here. And we've been cruising at 294 watt-hours per mile, so we did pretty good. There was quite a bit of traffic, so we were actually going relatively slow. Speed limit at times was only 60 anyway, so made it here real easy. Let's see what 97 miles are in percent. That would be 41% right there. So we're gonna charge up here a little bit, not as long as the route planner here from Tesla says we should. We also gonna stop in Superior just to make these stops shorter. So this supercharger is pretty busy, so it'll be a slow charge no matter what, but we'll do a short one, about 15 minutes, and then keep going. We are at 76%. The charger is still plugged in. Got this nice message that this is a high usage supercharger station. It was super busy when we got here, but now there's only us and one other car, so not so busy anymore. Anyway, let's look what 76% is in miles. That is 180 miles. And the trip planner here in the car says we can make it to home with a 15-minute stop at the Superior Supercharger. And since there's really not much right here, we'll keep on going and stop in Superior real quick and then make it home. We are at the Superior Supercharger. Got 46 miles left. The display turned amber. Let's see what that is in percentage. That's 20% that we got left here. So if we will continue the trip home, the trip planner said we will get there with 0%, and it said we need to charge in order to make it there. So that's what we're here for. We're gonna put a little bit in and then see if we can make it home. So since last charge we ran at 335 watt-hours per mile, and that was 110 miles ago. And our trip, when I reset it at some point, we've been driving 421 miles at 335 as well. So we've been going over a couple passes, so we used a little bit more here on that last stretch. So now we'll charge here, put about maybe 10% or so in, and then we'll get going. So the supercharger is way too fast. I only wanted to put about 10% in, and here we're already at 37. So we almost put 20% in the time we went to the bathroom and chose some ice cream. So now we don't even have time to eat the ice cream and gotta get going. We made it home, 14%, and let's see if we switch that to distance. 32 miles left, so we stayed a little long at the supercharger in Superior. The interesting thing is when we drove towards our house out into the boonies, we got a message on the big screen in the center that we need to plan our next charging stop, since we're almost too far away from any known charger. It was kind of interesting to see. Never seen that before. The reason for that is because when we drove our Model 3 here for the first time, we had plenty of choose, so there was no reason for that. But this one is low and we're far away from every charger, and this car does not know home. It does not know that we have a charger here. It will know after tonight, because we're gonna plug it in here, and then it will know that there is a charger here for next time, and that message probably will never ever show up again, at least not going home. So Let's look. Since last charge, 366 watt hours per mile. So since we came over the pass, going down, it was still some slower speeds, but then it came up to 80 miles per hour. So we went about 82 miles an hour for the rest of the way here in Montana. So that will automatically increase consumption a little bit. And so yeah, since we charged in Superior, we used another 15 kilowatt hours. It was only 43 miles from there. Trip A down on the bottom there is 465 miles. That is not the whole trip. I believe I reset that in Dalles, Oregon. So that's only part of the trip. We probably have a total of about 7, maybe even 800 miles since we picked this car up. Probably about 700 miles roughly, I think. And we can see the total for the trip is only 337 watt hours per mile. So there's a good indication if we go a little slower with this car, like with the speed limits in Oregon and Washington, where we were 70 or even 65. Was many places it was 65, 70, and then 75, and then eventually Montana 80. So but most importantly, we made it home. So this car, 2013 Tesla Model S, 192,000, more than 192,000 miles on it. Worked fine. We had a few little things that we found that are not working or working right, but heck, it made it here, and it's about an 8-9 year old car, and it's got a lot of miles on it, and it surprised us. It did great. And again, even a 2013 Tesla can travel, obviously. I mean, we just traveled from Portland to Montana to our house here, which is almost 600 miles, and there was no issues. There's plenty of superchargers. The charging hasn't been an issue. We could charge everywhere. It was not a stressful trip. We maybe wouldn't have stopped as much if we would have had an ICE car, but we stopped a little more, and it made it less stressful. It maybe took a little longer, but we noticed just at the last stop there was somebody there with a U-Haul van, and they were there already when we pulled in, and we drove out before they drove out. And so it's like, yeah, it took them longer to fuel up than it took us to just put a few percent in. And we were slow at that stop. We could have been even faster because we did not need that much energy to get back home. And the nice thing is with the Tesla, even in this here, because the software is updated, it actually tells you how much you need to make it to your next destination. It tells you how long about it will take to charge so that you can make it to your next destination. You just use the trip planner that's in the car, and it works pretty darn good. So for this car, next thing would be we need to charge it to 100% here at home probably. So we can go a little slower, and it can really charge to 100% and equalize all these battery cells. And then we need to take it on another trip and drive it pretty far down, preferably below about 20%, and that will equalize the battery, calibrate the whole BMS, the battery management system in this car, so that we can get an even better idea of how good or bad this battery is. It's definitely good. I mean, we already seen over 90%, so I'm pretty sure the degradation is very minimal on this battery pack here. But that is it for today. We'll make more videos with this car. We'll show you what we find wrong. We'll show you maybe how to fix some of those things, see what we can do. We haven't transferred it yet into our name with the app. We'll show you how to do this. We haven't done a factory reset on the car. We want to do that. So we'll do all these things and we'll make videos about this. And so you'll see plenty more videos of this car in the coming weeks and months. And so you can see if you could possibly buy a high mileage electric car or not. So, but in any event, please give us a thumbs up for this video. And if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to our channel. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.